Now, who thinks the moon landing was faked? Or was Harold Wilson a KGB spy? Or that Joko here is part of a secretive order running the country?
I can't tell you.
I'm inclined to believe that because it would explain a lot. Well, some of the most popular conspiracy theories have taken a bit of a knock this week thanks to new research from one academic at Oxford University who's come up with an equation that suggests that many conspiracies, if they existed, would unravel. Here's our Ellie.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Oh, that looks beautiful, man.
Come back, Neil. Okay, so this is probably the best known conspiracy theory, that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin weren't actually here on the moon. In fact, they were in a high-tech studio, not dissimilar to this one, because I'm not actually on the moon, which is a shame because I had wanted to plant a flag.
But space is a popular frontier when it comes to a conspiracy, especially when space seems to come to you. We've all heard of Roswell and Area 51 and what may or may not have happened there. In fact, such are the numbers of people interested in this stuff that David Cameron spotted a gap in the market, and during the 2010 election campaign pledged more government openness about UFOs. The truth and the votes are out there. Another conspiracy magnet is this guy, the suggestion being he's not dead. For a start, lots of people say they've seen him since his death in 1977. On the flip side, there's a theory that Paul McCartney, who appears to be alive and kicking, is in fact dead. The claim is he died in the 1960s and was replaced by a look and sound alike. The proof? Well, have you ever tried playing the frog chorus backwards? No, me neither. There are plenty of conspiracy theories relating to politicians, the most famous surrounding the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But there was another one about a more modern-day president, that Barack Obama wasn't actually born in the USA, meaning he couldn't be president. He ended up dramatically proving the so-called birthers wrong by producing his birth certificate. But some questions remained.
Why he didn't do it when everybody else was asking for it, I don't know.
There are those who say one of the biggest conspiracies of all is right here in the seat of power. That those in charge are part of an extraterrestrial, shape-shifting, reptilian humanoid elite. Lizards.
The aspersion you're trying to cast, I think, is completely ridiculous.
Well, I think that one's probably true.
Straight from the lizard's mouth.
Let's go to Tony Gosling. He's a journalist who investigates conspiracy theories. Tony, welcome to the programme. I mean, isn't that a fair point from this research that the conspiracy theories would involve so many people, or at least so many of them would, that it would be impossible to keep them secret over time?
Now, look, David Grimes, who's done this research, is a physicist, he's a cancer, he's really good at that stuff, but he's not a social scientist, and he's not looked, I think, at the background to how the conspiracy theories are being used. Really, since the JFK assassination you mentioned there, the New York Times in the 80s did a Freedom of Information request, and they found that the word conspiracy theory and the concept of it was a weaponized term that they could use in order to put down criticism of the Warren Commission, which was investigating Kennedy's death. So I think our job as journalists, yours and mine, Andrew, actually, is to sort the wheat from the chaff, not to try and mix them up together, which is what they want to do.
But our job is also to establish facts, and we do that by people coming forward. Now, if the JFK assassination was a conspiracy, or if the landing on the moon was a conspiracy, so many people would have been involved that someone at some stage would have come and spoken to people like you or me. But it's never happened in any credible way.
Well, not necessarily with JFK, of course, because the FBI and the CIA was involved in that. These people are spies, detectives, etc.
And the FBI and the CIA don't leak.
Well, no, the whole part of their job is to keep secrets. I mean, that's part of the job.
So how do we know about the 12 assassination attempts against President Castro?
Well, look, I think one of the reasons why we've seen a big increase in conspiracy theories recently, partly it's the internet, but also, of course, I mean, we've seen things like chemtrails. These I would dismiss actually, but it's partly the government's mental health cuts. I think there's a lot of problems out there with people who are actually looking for something to latch onto and see anything as a conspiracy, and it's our job to stop that. I mean, things like the Bullingdon Club, for example, running the country, that's not a conspiracy theory. It's beginning to happen. Cecil Rhodes from the Victorian times, I mean, he was in the Bullingdon Club as well, we'd recently found out.
But did he run Britain?
Just before the general election last year, the Telegraph pulled a 2-page feature on the Bullingdon Club. I would suggest that that was a conspiracy to help the Tories win the election.
Yeah, all right. What real conspiracy do you believe in? What's the biggest conspiracy you think is true?
Well, I think obviously the Edward Snowden revelations about the security services are really good. I think, I mean, for example, here in Bristol, I think maybe it's a bit different to 100 miles away there in London. We love conspiracies. All of the best
But I'm asking you, which is the biggest one that you believe to be true with evidence that would convince us?
All of the biggest stories have started as conspiracy theories, and then there's a wrestle to see whether they'll get out to the public. My favourite is the Bilderberg conference. These conferences that were started by by a former SS officer back in the 1950s, and actually David Cameron went along, breaking his own ministerial code. This is the oil barons and the financial managers of the Western world meeting together to select our politicians. And I think nowadays elections are not about policies; they're about psychological warfare, effectively.
All right, okay then. Bilderberg selects our politicians. We should therefore have a word with them to find out if they could do a better job.
Well, let's go from
Dr.
Bilderberg
Grimes,
to the quiz.
we wanted to join us, but Oxford University thought it was too political.
I thought it was too political. Right, well, let's go from Bilderberg to the answer to our quiz. There's, I'm sure, a well-known link there. Now, which well-known British politician has been taken for a ride in our guest of the day sidecar? Was it A, Diane Abbott, B, Boris Johnson, C, Jeremy Corbyn, or D, Nigel Farage? Radek, I presume you do know the answer.
It was Boris.
The question is, why?
Because we are friends.
Where did you go?
Well, we were going round my constituency in Poland, where I thought for once I would be the star. And we went into the main square and...
It was a conspiracy.
Yes. And
choose our leaders. 1 o'clock news is over on BBC One. I'll be with This Neat Week tonight on BBC One after question time. Hope you can join me then. Bye-bye.